Yes, happy Halloween, everybody. It's your good buddy, Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We're streaming live simultaneously in 3 different places. The Jet Zone Facebook page today, because of scheduling conflicts on the Facebook pages. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. And, of course, on my Twitter account, at BoyGreen25 as well. Happy Halloween, everybody. And this is the first time I've ever dressed up in the garb. I will say right off the top, this is my beautiful fiance. It's our baby's first Halloween. She's dressing everybody up. She's currently getting in all the garb herself. And yes, I am Jack Skellington. So there you go. Jack Skellington is exactly who I am, as my cat's attacking me with this hood on. But yes, I am a Jack Skellington, she's Sally, and then we're going to have a lot of Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. So happy Halloween, everybody. Welcome. This is the first not Victory Monday in like a month, so this is kind of new territory for me as a Jets guy, because I was getting used to it. Feeling pretty nice, going to be honest. It felt awesome, but now we get back to the first world or third world problem, rather, for everybody else who doesn't just win every week. So that's where the New York Jets are at this current moment in time. We've got a lot to get to. Of course, we have the NFL trade deadline tomorrow. Now, normally, you guys would be tuning in on a Monday to see myself and my good buddy, Will Parkinson. He'll be joining me on a special trade deadline Tuesday edition of the show. So, guys, make sure you pay attention to that, because we just saw a blockbuster in the NFL. Roquan Smith from the Chicago Bears to the Baltimore Ravens for a couple of draft picks, 2nd and 5th round picks respectively, in this 2023 NFL draft. So we're seeing a lot of movement, and there are some great conversations. There's some great trade conversations we'll get into with the trade deadline for the New York Jets that may be a little spicy, maybe a little testy, perhaps. So we'll get into a lot of that conversation as well. Before we get too deep, I want to give a couple of shout outs. I'm going to have to move the mic here for a second. I want to give a shout out to NY Jets Situation Report. I'm going to move this mic, and you'll see it behind me. Look at that football. Boom. That autographed football right there, that is Bart Scott autograph. Can't wait football in a nice case. It's beautiful. So I want to give a shout out to NY Jet Situation Report, who, by the way, does giveaways every single week. Now, I will tell you this. You'll also see the other signed helmet on top right there. Boom. For those who are watching, that is John Riggins, Pro Football Hall of Famer, who, of course, was drafted by your New York Football Jets. So we got a double dip of giveaways here. Guess what? I'll keep winning them every week. But if you guys want to win them, go hit up NY Jets Situation Report on all social media. He literally does a giveaway every single week. And a lot of you guys aren't participating, which is fine by me. I don't mind increasing my memorabilia collection. But if you'd like to get involved, go ahead. I got an autographed football with Bart Scott Can't Wait certificate of authenticity. Very nice. John Riggins autographed mini helmet. Phenomenal. So I'll keep adding space to my back wall here. But again, NY Jet Situation Report, if you'd like a little bit of that. Why don't we start with the trade stuff? We'll also get to the other part of the headline that a lot of you may be going, I'm sorry, Elijah Moore said what? Yes, we'll get to that in just a little bit as well. But first, let's dive into some of the comments. Again, a spooky happy Halloween to all of you. We'll be on for about an hour here, diving into trade deadline stuff, reacting to the Robert Saleh presser, a Monday presser, some bad news and some injury stuff, but we'll get to that. Let's go okay on YouTube. We seem to have a Sanchez for a Wilson. I will say this. I think Zach Wilson is immensely more talented than Mark Sanchez was. I think he's got a little bit more juice, a little bit more chutzpah, if I may, altogether, which I'm very intrigued by that talent. And you saw it even in the game yesterday. It's not like we're kind of cherry picking. Like, I feel like we did a lot of that with Sam Darnold. Like, they began blown out and go, ooh, look at this. Like, the Jets aren't getting blown out. They haven't been blown out this year, relatively speaking, that they've been in a lot of these games. So I have this talent with Wilson I see. Like the Garrett Wilson beautiful dime where he rolls out, hits him beautifully. That was nice. And he had a couple other dimes. The Tyler Conklin one was really spectacular, too. The Conklin touchdown was like, mwah, chef's kiss. Beautiful. One of his best throws in the red zone. Tight coverage and just pew, fit it right in there. That was juicy. So I think Wilson has a much higher ceiling, than Sanchez. And obviously, he didn't have the same amount of interceptions. I don't have Zach Wilson's numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure I remember Sanchez was 12 touchdowns, 20 picks his rookie year. So not as many interceptions, but again, you just don't want to see him at all. So he just gets compared to because he's one of the many first-round quarterbacks from that perspective. Rich Sports Talk, great costume. Again, I can take zero credit for this whatsoever. My fiance is all into the spooky. Our house is decorated Halloween 24/7, but the whole family is going to be dressed up in the garb. Head over to probably the Instagram, maybe. You guys probably don't want to be bothered with all that on Twitter, but the old Instagram. So happy Halloween. Thank you very much. Thank you. Jay Spector, Zach for Rodgers and a 3. Like Aaron Rodgers? Again, I'm sure Green Bay would want to do that, but no thank you. No thank you on that. Again, here's the thing. Let's go to a couple of Robert Saleh comments from today. He said emphatically that Zach Wilson is his quarterback for the rest of the season outside of injury. So that was really a very interesting note. Number 2, that again, Mike White coming up to number 2 is purely, again, if Zach Wilson gets hurt, they'll bring Mike White into the game. But that's the only reason. They will not do it outside of that. So that was kind of an emphatic thing. And also that Mike White, under no circumstance, was considered to come into the game during some of Zach Wilson's struggles. That was another comment there from Robert Saleh today. So a lot of vote of confidence there from Robert Saleh. And perhaps the strongest of which was Robert Saleh essentially saying that Zach Wilson is a big reason we're 5-3. No one would have predicted we'd be 5-3 before the year, and Zach Wilson's a big part of it. So some strong votes of confidence from the head coach. Rich Sports Talk, thoughts on Dillard being trade target? Would love your opinion, I'm assuming is what that says. Yeah, Andre Dillard, the former first rounder of the Philadelphia Eagles, an interesting piece. And that's around where some people would say in terms of the deadline talk. Here's the thing. Let's to answer this, Rich Sports Talk, let's drop another nugget from Robert Saleh. This is not good news. So George Fant was eligible to come off of IR this past week. So again, going back to the original George Fant thing, when George Fant was originally placed on IR, the conversation from the Jets organization was simply suggesting that this is Fant's knee, that he had surgery on, has been kind of bothering him since the offseason. You know what? It's not getting better. We're just going to put him on IR as a super extra precaution, and he'll be gone for like the next 4 weeks, but then he'll be good to go for the rest of the year. That is what they implied. That's what they seem to indicate, that this is a precautionary measure. Now, obviously, he didn't play in this Patriots game, and we hear from Robert Saleh that the earliest George Fant could come back is after the bye. So you got this Buffalo game, bye week, Patriots game. So that's not great. Then we also get the additional nugget. That same conversation goes for Max Mitchell, who, again, would be eligible to come off of IR this week. Still, no. He will not return at the earliest until after the bye. So is this an extra precautionary measure again? Because if you bring him back this week, then you have the bye. So just why not give him essentially 3 weeks of rest, because you have this full week game, full week bye, full week Patriots game. So maybe it's extra precaution. But I'm going to be honest, that went wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. That alarm bell is going off in my brain saying, boy, the Jets need some offensive tackle help ASAP. And specifically, probably only right tackle, which brings me back to you, Rich Sports Talk. I believe Andre Dillard, from all the analytical things I've seen, I think Dillard is purely a left tackle. So that doesn't help. And I will make sure I confirm that. I thought I looked at those numbers earlier, so I will confirm that one more time on some of the PFF numbers I have in front of me on Andre Dillard. Let's see. I want to make sure I've got it for this year. This year he's barely played at all, so only 11 snaps played this season. All of his snaps last year were 337 snaps were at left tackle. And let's go back to, 337 snaps in 2021, all at left tackle. So, and in 2019, 276 snaps at left tackle. So basically, he's only a left tackle. So the Jets aren't moving Dwayne Brown. Now, it would be nice just to have the depth in general, but I think if the Jets are going to get a guy, it's going to be either get a guy that's got some right tackle scheme versatility, because that's the hole. Like George Fant, MIA. Max Mitchell, MIA, like a Jack Conklin would seemingly make sense depending on price. So Dillard in general, there's a lot of reasons to believe in that. The Joe Douglas connection with the Eagles organization, the Jets need at offensive tackle in general. But I'm going to be honest, Rich, I don't believe, based on price, player, and what the Jets need, that's going to be a natural fit. Again, it seems like a natural fit, but I don't believe it is. So my thoughts are, good thought in terms of thinking about it, but I do not believe so. Let's go to this one. We got Elijah Moore should be traded. So let me get this quote up. This was from the Can't Wait podcast. I want to share this clip, and we will bring it up here on the show. I'm going to be honest. When I was driving in the car and I heard this earlier, because I was listening to the Can't Wait podcast, this one raised my eyebrow to a completely another level on the Elijah Moore situation. So let's give you the quick background here, then we'll give you the video. Elijah Moore spoke for the first time since requesting a trade publicly at his locker after the Patriots game. He played about 10 snaps. 7 of those were actual receiving routes, and he was targeted once, and that was deflected at the line of scrimmage. So Elijah Moore, remember, request trade, sits out, healthy scratch for the Broncos game. This game he plays, but only plays like 10 snaps, so doesn't play at all. And Zach Rosenblatt was part of the beat, was part of the media that was around Elijah Moore at his locker after the game. The Jets did not release that interview, presser, whatever you want to call it, to their Jets, to the social media feed. So all we have is the little bit of clips from SNY Jets and then what the reporters are saying. So I thought this clip was absolutely fascinating. So let's throw this on the screen. Again, this is from the Can't Wait podcast with The Athletic, Tim McMaster, Marissa Morris, and of course, Zach Rosenblatt. Here is the clip. Here is Zach Rosenblatt talking about Elijah Moore. This one raised my eyebrow.
But everybody has done their part. This team knows that they're talented enough to win games. So if they go out there, they do their jobs, and the quarterback makes a boneheaded turnover 3 times a game, 2 times a game, 1 time a game, and it costs them, then what do you think people are saying in the locker room? They're saying the same things we're saying. They might, put on a brave face at the podium and stuff like that. I think Elijah Moore made it pretty clear in my eyes that Zach Wilson is one of the main reasons why he's not happy.
And you just saw that reaction from Marissa going, zoinks? That's what I did in my car. Again, this was from the Can't Wait podcast. So in case you missed that, Zach Rosenblatt said that Elijah Moore, after the game, speaking for the first time publicly since his trade request, quote unquote, made it pretty clear to Zach Rosenblatt that one of the main reasons he wants to be traded, he wants to be dealt away, is Zach Wilson. And if you read into that a little bit more, Robert Saleh just announced at his presser that Zach Wilson's my quarterback the rest of the way outside of injury. So if Elijah Moore's main reason he doesn't want to be here is checks notes Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson, checks notes again, was the number 2 overall pick of the draft, which obviously is a serious investment from the Jets organization, maybe Elijah Moore should be traded. Maybe he should be moved. I think it's crazy. Elijah Moore's so talented. And that, man, like, you can use that guy. Like, the flashes last year were not made up. They weren't imaginary. Again, there was a 6-week stretch where he's the best wide receiver in football. And now all of a sudden we're going to move him for a side of biscuits or God knows what we're going to get for him. Again, but if that part is true from Zach Rosenblatt's assessment, again, I wasn't there in front of Elijah Moore, so I can't speak to it myself. However, Zach Rosenblatt, a guy who covers the team on a daily basis, saying those words on the podcast that got that reaction from Marissa and that reaction from me going, zoinks? That's what I heard. Like, wow. One of the main reasons? Like, I get it. Okay, one of the main reasons is you don't give a flying hoot who's throwing you the passes as long as they're getting me the ball. But that's not what he said. It was like the main reason is Zach Wilson. So, yikes. So, again, if that permeates throughout the locker room and there's any kind of negative energy there, the Jets have to, quote unquote, cut off the cancer and move on. Now, I think Elijah Moore made some astute observations about some of those things, but that is a particular point that may be tough. So, but what do you do? So Elijah Moore was originally a 2nd-round pick, essentially a 1st-round pick with how high he went in the 2nd round. Like, unless a team like Green Bay blows my socks off with some sort of offer, I'm not just going to acquiesce to Elijah Moore. He throws a temper tantrum, and then all of a sudden I either feed him the rock or he throws a temper tantrum, and I just trade him to the highest bidder. Like, man, this is a tough situation for both Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. That comment made me go, yikes. It's tough. Let's go to former Jets coach Rex Ryan here on the show. If Joe can't get a good trade, Elijah Moore just bench him for the year. I mean, that's another option. But the weird thing is that they didn't bench him, right? So I agree. Zach Rosenblatt mentioned this on the Can't Wait podcast. So you either bench him and say, hey, man, that stuff doesn't fly. Okay. You trade him. Okay. That stuff doesn't fly. You're traded. The Jets did something in the middle. Like, they played him 10 snaps. They threw him the ball once. So you, like, benched him but didn't. You, like, bad boy, timeout. Like, what? Like, I think there has to be a stronger level of conviction, whatever it is. Again, you want to trade him, fine. You want to bench him, fine. But this weird upside down in the middle Stranger Things thing here was just kind of odd, I thought. A little strange. But let's keep going here. Again, wherever you're watching, guys, make sure you like the video on YouTube. Hit subscribe down below. Again, happy Halloween. That explains the garb here. I am Jack Skellington here on Boy Green's YouTube channel, the Jet Zone Facebook page, and my Twitter account. Wherever you're watching, a free way you can contribute to the show is liking the video, hitting subscribe, and, of course, sharing wherever you're watching. And feel free to get involved on the show. This is an interactive program. Trick or treat, mother truckers. So make sure you get involved in the comment section. We'll bring you up here on the show. And also the YouTube Super Chat feature, which allows you to give a nice tip in my jar. I'm holding out my trick or treat bag. You can give me a treat or what, people? So make sure you do that on the YouTube channel. It's available to each of you watching live and even after the fact, for that matter. Jay Spector, Zach is a more athletic version of Darnold. Can't teach smart. Someone who keeps making the same dumb mistakes is not a franchise quarterback. Yeah, some of the mistakes are just dumb. Like, again, the first interception, again, he's kind of fading back. Ty Johnson was wide open. So, the decision was smart. But the decision to kind of throw off your back foot off pocket on a 3rd and 2, like that, questionable. Obviously, the throwaway, what are we doing? But he's had those kind of throws before, or else you could throw that one out. And then the third one, just trying to forcibly make a play. That was perhaps the most concerning comment I heard from Zach Wilson after the game, was Zach Wilson said, just gets frustrating, throw it away throwing it, rolling outside the pocket and throwing it out and not allowing something to happen. That was frustrating for a few reasons and concerning, because the Bills can hear our press conferences. The Patriots, the Lions, Jaguars, Texans, Seahawks, Vikings, all these teams are like, oh, Zach, you get a little frustrated when we throw you outside the pocket? Yeah, let's do that a lot. So that to me is like, whoa, I would not have volunteered that information, but different strokes, different folks, I guess. Again, I think there's a lot of good with Zach, but the bad obviously can rot away all the good. I think Jim Boeheim here in Syracuse said this once, that again, if you just play great offense, but you give up 10 points on defense, then you're a nothing player, because you're giving up what you're providing. So in the same sense, like, you can have all the good plays in the world, but sometimes it's the bad plays you don't make. Who makes less bad plays can often win the game. I think that's an important piece. Let's go to Evil Weevil. Okay, are the Jets still looking to getting an offensive lineman for the deadline? I see the rumors about Bradley Chubb, which doesn't make sense. Yes, we'll get into the Bradley Chubb thing in a second. Let's start offensive line. I think the Jets, so you got center Connor McGovern. He's solid. Your guards right now are Laken Tomlinson and was Elijah Tucker. Again, thoughts, prayers up. It's been Nate Herbig, who's been fine. I don't have the analytics in front of me from how he performed yesterday, but overall, Nate Herbig has really fit in there and has been solid. Tackle, I think, is where you need more help. Cedric Ogbuehi has not been great. He has been allowing a ton of pressure. It's been leaking in there, and that's led to some issues. So right tackle is the big with the permanent marker. That's what I'm circling there. Left tackle, fine. Again, you just kind of got to deal and then hope you get some help back with Phantom Mitchell in a couple weeks. But I would circle right tackle, and then maybe like a depth guard piece, whether you trade for it or sign for it in free agency. We brought up a couple of names in the past, but, so interior is like kind of a coin flip guy, kind of throw in, and then right tackle. Like, again, if a Jack Conklin presents itself, Laramie Tunsil would be like a much bigger deal. Like, that'd have to be Elijah Moore and something crazy. I don't even know. Like, it would just have to be something crazy because he's a left tackle. So what do you do with Dwayne Brown, who's a left tackle? And I get it, because Dwayne Brown's like 1,000, and Mekhi Becton's unsure, and George Fant's a free agent. Max Mitchell is coming off a serious injury. Like, there's a lot of pieces to figure out there. But I would say, yes, the Jets are still looking. Again, right tackle, money, but really depth piece on the interior is really the big play there. The Bradley Chubb stuff, let's get to that. I have an article out from the Heavy on Jets page. We brought it out this morning, and it's all from our good buddy, of course. Okay, that is Peter King, who had this report from earlier today. According to NFL Insider Peter King, the Jets are, quote, interested in making a trade for Denver Broncos edge rusher Bradley Chubb. Here's more of the report. A, quote, well-plugged-in general manager told King over the weekend that the Jets, along with the Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill's situation again, are, quote, interested in making a deal with the Broncos. King added in that they would be so interested that they would even be willing to, quote, consider dealing a first-rounder and a potential trade for Chubb. King said that any trade would have to include a contract extension with Chubb for, quote, beyond this year. Let's get a couple of things in, and I'll read you a text I got from a very, very inside source in Denver that I've developed over the last couple of years. So a couple of things here. First off, I'm going to be honest, when this came across, I went, whoa, it kind of came across in the same way initially that the Sauce thing did. Like, I always thought Sauce was a good player, but I never thought the Jets would draft him. So I didn't really fall in love with him. And then when they drafted him, I said, whoa, cool. Bradley Chubb, his name has been floating around there, but I didn't give second thought to that as a Jets guy. I'm like, that's cool for some team, but the Jets seem good at edge rusher. Well, apparently not. And Bradley Chubb is an interesting player. He's 26 years old. He spent 5 years in the league. This is his 5th season. He has a Pro Bowl nomination on his resume, 26 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 58 quarterback hits, 33 TFLs. And so he's a very interesting player. Super talented. He's had some injuries. That's concerning. He also played with Von Miller, so he was the Robin to Von Miller's Batman there, in Denver, which is something else you have to consider. But, like, man, Bradley Chubb is going to cost probably a first-round pick and change from what I'm hearing. And then you have to pay him. He's in the last year of his contract. And the market value spot track projections for Bradley Chubb is like a 5-year deal for about $14 million a year. But I think actually that's kind of low. I think with the way the edge rusher market has kind of exploded, I think Bradley Chubb is going to command even more than that on his deal. And especially where he would have all the leverage if a team is trading for Chubb, as part of that trade will be the contract extension, which would be massive. And so a couple of things. So then, like I said, I'll get to my text from a Broncos person. You could take this source for what you will. But first off, giving up a draft pick, a high draft pick as part of this package, interesting. Immediately giving that player a boatload of money, interesting. General Manager Joe Douglas has been a trader, no question about it. 4 straight years ahead of the deadline, he's made a move on top of other moves he's made. But he values his draft picks more than anybody. To see him then surrender that draft capital, the money that would be required, for a position that he actually has a lot of pass rush. Now, you can never have enough. But in this particular case, when you have other needs in other places, like offensive line, as we talked about, it would be interesting to utilize your capital and assets in this way. I would tell you that from my perspective. Here you go. I'll give you this text I got earlier when I was doing some digging in on this. And let you know. So let me read you guys the text. This is what I got earlier when I checked in on this Bradley Chubb situation. The Jets' interest was described by this source as, quote, serious, but don't think, this person is telling me this, they can, quote, outbid others, including Miami. Again, that's the source I got. When I saw the Peter King Jets Bradley Chubb thing, I reached out to my guy in Denver. He said that the Jets' interest is, quote, serious, but he does not believe they'll be able to outbid the other teams involved in the market, including those of the Miami Dolphins. So, to be honest, that makes a ton of sense to me. That first off, in terms of the second part of that they may not be able to outbid a lot of the other teams that are going to be in the mix here. Like, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be kind of willy-nilly, elite teams, like Super Bowl caliber teams, are going to be willing to give up draft capital, like a first rounder, without really even blinking, to go get Bradley Chubb, because he's a young guy, he's a pass rusher, and pass rushers are super valuable. So I would not be surprised from that second half of like a team like the Dolphins, who are quote unquote going all in and throwing picks around. Now, the Jets, I will say, at 5-3, like, I love the all-in thing, aggressive mentality they've had with the James Robinson deal. We're not rolling over anybody, or whatever other deals they ultimately make here. All of that, to me, will be incredibly fascinating. But from that source, he believes the Jets' interest is serious. Now, I've had a few conflicting things. I've had a few people reach out to me and say, hey, I've talked to legit sources. The Jets are not in on this. That's a few other people. But my Denver person is hell-bent, and he believes it, that there is, quote, serious interest here from the Jets. Now, we will see ultimately what happens. Again, my take on all of this, it would be a little aggressive by the Jets because, again, that defensive line would be pretty nasty. If you think about Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, Carl Lawson, and Bradley Chubb, sweet Caroline. Holy moly. I mean, oh my. I mean, that defensive line would be sick. However, it would be an interesting use of resources. Now, the Jets really love their defensive lineman, and it's such an important piece. And if they really think Bradley Chubb is this insane figure with the production he's had, and they believe they could tenfold it in their system, maybe they go a little willy-nilly here. Maybe they get super aggressive, and they just say, hey, Bradley Chubb, because, again, the Jets are 5-3 right now, and they say, hey, our pick is going to be somewhere late in the 20s because we think we're a playoff team. Like, that's going to – Bradley Chubb will be a better player than whoever the heck that's going to be, and maybe that's it. So, but that's everything I'm hearing on the Bradley Chubb thing, but I do think they're looking at offensive linemen. Let's see. Let's go to Steve Larson. Zach has a lower QB rating than Sam Darnold had when he was here. Yes. Okay. I have not seen that number, but that's interesting. Elijah Moore's never open. Get good. Or good God, maybe. Yeah, Elijah Moore's never open. He was a lot earlier in the year on some of those advanced analytics and separation he was, but, let's see. Patrick Duffy. When are we going to start holding LaFleur accountable? You can't expect to win when you run only 15 times a game. It's not like it was a blowout either. Play calling has to get better. I will say, Patrick, Robert Saleh actually had a really good answer on this with some of the analytics saying the Jets had a 11-13 pass run ratio in actual football. And he said situational football, when the Jets were down 2 scores, it got out of whack. And he said a lot of those plays were RPOs where they were either choice run or choice pass, which skews the number. So he said the runs were actually higher than people realized and that they always want to be a run-first team. That is the tried and true of everything they want to represent. So that was a really good answer from Saleh on some of the numbers that perhaps some people don't know from that perspective. All right, let's keep going here on the comments. Again, it is trade deadline tomorrow. We'll have a special Will Parkinson episode to recap everything or anything that does possibly happen. It is a happy Halloween, everybody. So get your spooky comments down in here. Also, feel free to let us know what costume you're wearing. Is this the first time I've ever done a costume on air? It's hot as hell. I'm going to be honest. In this full bodysuit, I am sweating here. But you know what? All for the culture. All for the brand, baby. So we're doing this thing. Let's see. Moore, I'm seeing Jacob Klein saying Moore playing was wrong. You got to get rid of players like him. Okay. Green Truth. Oh, I love that name. Elijah Moore will be traded by the end of the deadline tomorrow. Mims will take a spot. Mims, by the way, looking pretty good. Some of the run blocking stuff obviously had that big play in the fourth quarter where he broke a few tackles and used that 4-3 speed down the right hash. That was very nice. So I like what I'm seeing there. That's very nice. G here. If we don't trade Moore, is he even going to contribute at all the rest of the season? Yeah, that's the thing I don't get, because if he's not going to contribute, why just ride him on the bench unless you're just willing to send a message? That seems like a weird luxury to have, because I imagine a lot of teams would be interested. Adam Schefter said the Green Bay Packers were a team that would be interested in either or Elijah Moore or Denzel Mims with how they're looking at wide receivers. They seem a little desperate. I think you could probably get them for some picks. That'd be a team I'd circle for sure. That would be it. Green Truth. Zach Wilson will play the rest of the way unless he's injured. The Jets will beat the Patriots in Gillette. You know, I weirdly feel confident about that too, Green Truth. There was 2 comments after the game. Zach Wilson had one of them, and I'm trying to think. DJ Reed was the other. Zach Wilson after the game. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. He was chewing gum, and he was a little fiery, a little short on answers. He said, we get New England in 2 weeks. Technically, it's 3 weeks, but it's 2 weeks on Jets schedule-wise, and said, we got him in 2 weeks. We'll see him. And DJ Reed said the same thing. We got him in a couple weeks. We'll see him. So I love they're like, okay, we're gonna go after him. We're gonna get our payback, and hopefully they do. Because if the Patriots sweep the Jets this year, that's not going to be great. Not going to be a good situation. I will be very upset. I will be honest. So I love that take, Green Truth. Green Truth again. Mac Jones is not good. He should have had 3 picks and a fumble loss. Yeah, the strip sack by Jacob Martin was beautiful. They should have had that lucky bounce of the ball there. And yeah, he had a couple of questionable throws. C.J. Mosley should have had that pick. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So yeah, Mac Jones looked like Garbaggio. And then he gets out with the win and says, "Oh, great team win, whatever, man." I do not like Mac Jones. Ragnar Jet. Do we know of any good vet quarterbacks that also had a game in their second season with 3 picks? I don't know some of those numbers off the top of my head, to be honest. Like the Josh Allen numbers, people keep throwing in my face. Again, to me, a lot of that is kind of, I don't want to quite say irrelevant, but, it's case by case. Everybody's different. I think Zach Wilson showed plenty of flashes, and I think he can turn it around. Now, in terms of some of the other guys that have had that kind of lack of success and turned it around, you can study those cases if you want to, but, I won't be using those numbers to determine. It's Snoopy. Paul, did you touch on the more stuff yet? Yeah, again, the big comment from Zach Rosenblatt, again, who covers the Jets for The Athletic, on the Can't Wait podcast, which I did live streamed earlier today. He said, based on his conversation with Elijah Moore to repeat, because I know people are coming in and out of the stream, he reiterated, based on that conversation, that Zach Wilson is, quote unquote, one of the main reasons that Elijah Moore does not want to be there. And if that's true, then I think you have to trade him. So we will see what happens there. And beefing up the defense even more could be the way to make the playoffs this year. It certainly very well could. So again, getting more pass rush. And again, if Robert Saleh has this belief, that he can, let me just move my Jack Skellington Halloween suit here for a second as I try to gain some air in this thing. That if Robert Saleh sees Bradley Chubb and says, oh, he's doing this and that's great, he's already a Pro Bowler, I could take that talent in our system and he could be a freaking superstar. And again, if they believe that, and Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh on the same wavelength and trench warfare and all that stuff, I would be compelled. And again, of course, we'll be on here live breaking it all down if and when that deal comes to fruition. Kelly Wilson. I rewatched the game. I thought Wilson made a lot of great throws. Obviously, 3 really bad throws. See, that's the thing that really conflicts it for me, Kelly, because to be honest, he had a lot of wow throws. The Garrett Wilson throw was a wow throw. The Tyler Conco touchdown throw was a wow throw. He had a couple of really, really good throws, just 3 horrible and nothing. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. I mean, just terrible. Decisions either with footwork or just decisions in general. I mean, just bad and put the Jets team in a tough position. That you just have to be able to kind of rein it in and make sure you do that. That to me is key. You just have to find a way to overcome that. And again, you can't quote unquote get bored or say it gets frustrating just throwing it away every time. Again, call your number when it's called or stand up when your number is called. Like deliver when you need to. Live to see another play. I think that's got to be the overall message. Let's see. That's another thing from Kelly I find very interesting. Remember that the Jets lost on Tyreek Hill, which, okay, and I get, again, all the off-the-field stuff, you guys got to make your own decisions on how you feel about that as a fan. But purely as a player, like the Jets didn't get Tyreek Hill, and you're like, oh, man. And not only did they not get him, but double dip, they get attacked by him. Now, I thought Sauce and DJ Reed did a phenomenal job bottling him up, but the point is that your division rival is benefiting off Tyreek Hill. And according to this Peter King report, like the Miami Dolphins are all in on Bradley Chubb and trying to get him. And that could obviously take them to another level as they're competing for playoff spots and everything of that nature. Again, the Dolphins are kind of getting the business from Detroit on Sunday, before they change it. Now, you can't just cock block teams to like prevent them. Like if the Jets didn't want to get Bradley Chubb and they just say, okay, we're just going to get him so they don't get him. Like that's not a smart organizational move. But since they are involved in this and that we're probably going to talk about from my Broncos source, who's going to win the bidding war, so to speak, as long as it doesn't get too crazy. Like, again, if it's close and you can block your rival team, I mean, that's a cherry on top of that sundae, baby. So that is a compelling case to be made. Kelly, I really love that. And welcome to the show. I don't think I've ever had you in here before, Kelly, so this is great. Kelly, trade Jermaine Johnson for him. Now, that's creative. However, he's a first-round pick, and all the guarantees in the contract, that would be aggressive in my mind. I see everyone wants to get rid of JFM after the penalty. Again, outside of the penalty, I thought John Franklin Myers, from that standpoint, actually, is a guy that has actually performed very well for the New York Jets this year with the sacks and other plays of that nature. So I know the roughing the passer was tough, but he's actually played very well. And outside of a couple roughing the passers, which is really tough. Let's see. JFM and Zach have a combined IQ in the single digits. Nice wooden doors. That's a new YouTube channel. I haven't heard of that one. For sure. It's Snoopy. I don't blame Moore for being frustrated with the pampered quarterback, but Moore is super overrated too. So I don't know. Like I would give Moore a little bit of a tip of the cap. Like I still wouldn't love it. Again, it's incredibly selfish to, kind of, spew your own selfish stuff in the middle of a winning streak. But, Elijah Moore, can you do something? Like, okay, you showed some pops last year, but you also missed 6 games. You weren't healthy. And then this year, obviously, nothing's happened yet. So, again, if you were A.J. Brown or, I don't know, Devontae Adams or something, like, okay, he's like, hey, get me the goddamn ball and start, get the gosh darn ball, excuse me. And, you start kind of going around like that a little bit. Now, okay, and now he's got a little chutzpah. He's got a little resume, so to speak. Like Elijah, like, what have you done, man? What have you done? Spoiler alert, nada. So, I don't know. It kind of falls on deaf ears a little bit for me when Elijah Moore's going, throw me the ball. Like, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? I don't know. So, that's something as well. That to me is just odd, I would say. Crypto Samurai. Zach didn't play well, but still had 355 passing yards. Any bright spots in his poor performance yesterday? Yeah, a career high in passing yards. His 2 touchdowns passing, by the way, also matched a career high. He's not had 3 touchdown passes in a game. So, yeah, I mean, I thought early they were moving the ball all over. If you want to look for a silver lining, glass half full, if you will. And by glass half full, you can also hit up the Teespring shop for the boy Green. Glass half full. Wink. So feel free to do that. I haven't shown that glass on screen in a while. But, in all seriousness, I mean, the Jets were moving the ball. And again, settling for a field goal down there. And then, of course, the missed field goal, like a little bit too much of that, a little bit more sense on some of the third down conversions. Would have liked a little bit better there. But overall, Zach Wilson, yeah, they were moving the ball. He had some wow throws, some dimes. It was just that, again, the 3 brain lapses on those interceptions were just brutal and hard to overcome. But yeah, he had a lot of good moments. Again, why I still feel confident in him as the quarterback moving forward. Gohan angered. I just blew it. Well, even one of the announcers said that the Jets should have won. For sure. I think it was Charles Davis. He said they're the more talented team, and the Jets are probably looking at this saying, yeah, we should have won this gosh darn game. And I fully agree, by the way, but they didn't. So I hope they kind of channel all of this negative vibe and energy and say, when we play New England, we're going to give them the business. Now, you can't look ahead of Buffalo, who, by the way, opened as a 12.5-point favorite. And the last I checked, money is flying towards Buffalo. Before I even left the radio station, was at 13. So, again, the money is going to keep going towards Buffalo. And this is a game that I think that is a good opportunity for the Jets. All the pressure's on Buffalo. The Jets are expected to lose, apparently handedly, according to the Vegas numbers. So, you're playing at home, no expectations. Let's roll it out there and see what happens against a really talented Buffalo team. So let's not overlook them coming back, but I think that's a factor. Kelly on the Mitchell and Fant coming back soon. Hopefully, again, neither player will be back before the bye week, so you're going to miss at least this Buffalo game. You have the bye week, and then Patriots would be the earliest they could come back, according to Robert Saleh today. So not great. Not great from that standpoint. Kelly Wilson here, not winning the Super Bowl. Don't waste draft picks to get a lineman. We get everybody back next year. Well, I would say offensive tackle, that's where I would politely disagree. So in theory, you have Lakin and you have AVT at guard. Center, Connor McGovern's going to be a free agent, so that's obviously unknown. The offensive tackle situation, you do technically have Dwayne Brown under contract, but he's like 100. At right tackle, or whatever it's going to be, George Fant is a free agent to be, so we don't know. Mekhi Becton coming back, we don't know what he's going to be. Left tackle, right tackle, any tackle, I don't know. Max Mitchell looked good during his spots. Is he a starter? Like, man, there's a lot of questions, but there's no like locked in guy. So I understand the no Super Bowl, don't waste draft picks, but yeah, like I'm not saying willy-nilly just start giving away picks left and right. I think that would be unwise. However, if the right situation presents itself for the right player, I'm all for being aggressive. Again, whether that's left tackle, whether that's right tackle. I'm trying to think. I think the safeties, while there have been some spotty moments overall, they've kind of stabilized really outside of a few missed tackles here and there. So there's not like a Jesse Bates or something that I would do outside of a cheap price. And I know pass rushers apparently something they're looking at. Roquan Smith is a guy that like was probably a luxury, but someone I kind of like. I really like Roquan Smith. He's super talented, but obviously he's now a member of the Baltimore Ravens. So it just kind of depends. But I'm all for being aggressive. It sends the right message to the rest of the team. Let's keep going here again. Drop in any comments you have. We'll be on for about another 20 minutes or so, answering any trade deadline nuggets. Also, we just talked about the Elijah Moore latest situation there. So again, feel free to throw in your comments. Also, the YouTube super chat feature is available. Let's go to Wild Wave here. Bro, that third interception, Garrett Wilson was wide open. I don't understand why it's so hard for Zach to find his open receivers. I don't know if the Denzel Mims one that Connor Hughes was tweeting about was second or third interception. It must have been second with him streaking down the field. But again, I think a simple thing to say here is, well, playing quarterback's hard. And that's why we're all on a podcast talking about it. And another guy's actually throwing the pigskin around. So it's not easy playing football. Right? It's at all for that matter. But, he's got to figure it out. That's why they drafted him number 2 overall. That's why they're paying down all the big bucks. So, again, I think what he needs to do is, again, just kind of sit back and really evaluate everything. And he's just got to sit back and just say, okay, I just need to get I got to be the point guard here. I don't always have to be the superstar. I don't have to be the hero. That, again, balls in the stands are better than picks. Balls in the stands are better than sacks. Balls in the stands are better than fumbles. Like, he just needs to get a harsh reality of that. And Robert Saleh believes ultimately he will from that. Let's go to Steve here. What's wrong with Jermaine Johnson? I know everyone has been talking him up. Yeah, he missed the last, now 3 weeks. He was only supposed to miss the 2 weeks from everything I was told. Then he missed this third week. So he will be reevaluated later this week, according to Robert Saleh. So we will see. He had a bit of an injury. I think there was Dolphins game week 5, and then he ended up missing the rest of Dolphins week 6, week 7, and obviously now we're heading into week 8. So TBD on that. We haven't been talking about because situationally he has about a sack and a half, and his run defense has been exceptional according to the Pro Football Focus analytics, which is really nice. But if you give him more reps, you would think that the sack numbers would grow. So I would like to see that. Boycott Activision. Why can't Zach run forward? Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what it is. It was something in his tape that I really liked in college, that situationally they really used him at BYU in some red zone packages to get him loose and use him like in those kind of situations running the football. But the 4th and 5 play, obviously he had a lot of green grass in front of him. Like, that's another option. Like he always says, and that rolling out of the pocket and throwing it away or trying to force something is it. Like, you can run, like you can scramble. It doesn't have to be 30 yards, 40 yards, 20 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards. Again, chip, chip, chip. A lot of the time when the Jets are getting these runs with either James Robinson or Michael Carter for 5, 6, 7 on first down, oh, beautiful, 2nd and manageable, or oh, beautiful, 3rd and short. Like, that's what you want to run with. So I would, speaking of running up that hill, like I'd like him to run a little bit and take the green grass in front of him. Again, he's not Lamar Jackson, but shoot. Like, run a little bit, show some wiggle. Mac Jones certainly did a couple of those escape pressures. He broke contain and got some nice yardage, and then got that garbage ass. We talk about officiating, that garbage ass call where he kind of rolls into the fetal position, but moving forward and just kind of like dies, like kind of rolls like mid. It goes and kind of like falls over, and CJ Mosley hits him, of course, and they throw the flag on necessary roughness. Like, dude. He's a runner outside the pocket. He's running and scrambling. If he doesn't want to get hurt, then slide, dude. Slide. This diving head first, going for the first down. Bullshit. I call BS. I mean, come on, man. That was bull. Malarkey. Oh, what a terrible call. So, yeah, there's some questionable officiating. That's for sure. That is just god-awful. Unbelievable. Okay, let's see. JD should trade Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims for an OT. Again, nuts on the Jets. I love that. I love that. I love that YouTube name. It's not always easy to because people are saying, trade Bryce Hall, the corner, Denzel Mims, Jacob Martin was a name that floated around in trade rumors earlier this week for maybe a late pick. He had the strip sack against Mac Jones. Sometimes you can't just trade, and I use this term lightly, not to offend any Jet player, but you're garbage. Like, you can't always just go and a zippity boopity boppity whoop and wave a magic wand, and then all of a sudden those players other people want, and you can kind of trade. Like, player for player swaps can often be rare, very rare in a lot of cases. Like, it worked out for the Jets a bunch of years ago when you traded you got Demario Davis back for Calvin Pryor, the Louisville Slugger. We all remember that famous Jets first round pick. So that worked out, and the Jets got a Pro Bowl season at Demario, and then he went to the Saints and has now been one of the best linebackers of football. Go figure. But you get my drift here, that it's not always can be correlated in that, but I would explore that, obviously, if I'm the Jets. For sure. I would love to see that. Let's see. Oscar Flores here. I don't know. I don't get the ball. He's just asking to get jumped in the locker room. Yeah, the Elijah Moore comment where they said, hey, how's your chemistry with Zach? He's like, don't know. I don't get the ball. I'm kind of like Scott. Like, I don't know if he was trying to be funny. I don't know if he was being serious again, because we didn't get to see the full Elijah Moore presser. We only got bits and pieces from SNY Jets and beat reporters. So his full presser was not available. I was looking for it on the Jets YouTube channel and their app, and it was not available. And probably for good reason, the Jets avoiding trying to broadcast that to the world. But again, that comment kind of went like, And we heard the comment earlier that apparently he could be one of the main reasons that Elijah Moore doesn't want to be here. All of that is just bad. So, again, I thought the best ploy for Elijah Moore is coming back to the locker room and kind of embracing everybody, not just giving us these vague, you guys don't know everything that's behind the scenes, and tell us everything that's behind the scenes. Why would you cryptically just kind of throw that out there? I just, it's just, it's a struggle. Steve Larson, I want a high pick for Tunsil if he plays right tackle for the rest of the season. I would be really impressed if if they flip him. And like, you wouldn't flip Dwayne Brown in the middle of the season. He's never played really right tackle at all in his career, exclusively of left tackle. So that would really surprise me. That one would be kind of stunning. Steve Larson, whenever a player for Jets is talked up, he gets hurt. I mean, Breece Hall, AVT. We've had a troubling history. That Max Mitchell is another one. Yeah, it's been bad, and that's bad. Let's go to Adam here. Boy Green, listen to yourself. You and others have been saying the same thing about Zach forever. That's why it's so concerning. It's not getting fixed or even improving. Adam, I'll say this because I know a lot of people don't like and call me a Zach Wilson apologist and a lot of other things. I want you guys to all think of something. In the same way that we talked about this Patriots thing, this AFC East thing, I want all of us, all the 100 plus of us that are in here right now, to ask yourself this question. And I think it's important. We, as Jet fans, have been Jet fans for 15, 20, 25 years. So we got a lot of battle scars from things that have gone wrong. And all the time, we pour that on Jets players. Like the AFC East route is a really good example, right? They're 0-12 in the AFC East. They had been blown out by an average of 16 points and all that. And we threw that on this present new era Jets and said, hey, you guys need to fix this. This is embarrassing. And a lot of the Jet players said, hey, whoa. Like, we weren't here for all that. Why the hell are you throwing your garbaggio on us? And I'm saying, Adam, to use that comparison to the Jets quarterbacks. The Jets have had a lot of failed quarterbacks. Geno Smith, shout out to him in Seattle. We'll see him later in the year. Sam Darnold, Christian Hackenberg, and all these guys that we drafted high with some relative expectation. And then when they stunk, it shortened our own personal lifespan for future quarterbacks. So Sam Darnold, he got a large honeymoon for a long time, but Jet fans going, oh no, he just doesn't have enough pieces around him. He just doesn't have enough pieces around him. And so our fuse is a lot shorter for Zach Wilson than it would be for a normal fan base that drafted a quarterback with the second overall pick. So Adam, you asked me, Boy Green, to listen to myself. I ask you to listen to yourself and all your hearts, all of you out there, that you know I'm right. You know it's true that all of our fuses are a lot shorter for quarterbacks. The leash is a lot shorter on Zach Wilson because of past failures at the quarterback position. You either want to see Patrick Mahomes instantly, and if you don't, you have serious questions. And that's, to me, my perception of the rest of the Jets fan base. When I'm looking at this, I'm wanting to give him a little bit more. He just completed his, 18th career start, and there's a bunch of injuries in between. Like, I don't know, for me, and especially since they don't have any other option, obviously, like Mike White to me is garbage. Joe Flacco is nothing. And Chris Trevler is never going to get PT because he's buried on the depth chart. So, the only choice, Zach Wilson will start against Buffalo. Robert Saleh, quote unquote, announced that after the first question was asked. They have no other choice. So with that all being the obvious, to me, Adam, I say this, that Zach Wilson will continue to get the rest of the run this season. Now, if at the end of the year, we're talking about more of these 3 interception games than not, then we can have a real conversation about the Jets having this playoff roster, this great defense and special teams and all this jazz, and the thing holding them back was quarterback. The first game that he has cost the team in the win column was Sunday. Prior to that, he was 4-0 as a starter. So the things that he was doing, the Jets were, quote-unquote, overcoming. And I think it's important to know, it's not as if he was throwing 3 or 4 picks every game. This was the first game he threw a pick in 4 games because he had 3 straight games without a turnover. This was the 4th game of that run. I don't know. I think some of you should listen to yourselves about the Zach Wilson hate and go, you know what? Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh here. Now, again, I get it. We all want quarterback play instantly. This is a now society. Instant coffee in the microwave is not fast enough. I get it. I want Zach Wilson to be great. You want Zach Wilson to be great. And obviously he was not yesterday. Those turnovers are unacceptable, disgusting, and he is the reason the Jets lost yesterday. I'm not hiding anything about that. However, I think he deserves more time. But again, everyone has different strokes, different folks. But Adam, I appreciate the comment. Again, this is a show that I don't need just yes people. Okay, those are great. Where Boy Green, you're handsome. Oh, stop it. Boy Green, you're smart. Oh, stop. That's fantastic. Okay, I love those people. Who doesn't? But I'm all for challenging. If we want to talk about things, again, this is an open dialogue, an open conversation. Trade deadline, Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, whatever you want. I don't claim to be the know-it-all on everything. But I do believe in this particular situation that we do have a shorter leash on Zach than others because of the poor history of recent Jets quarterbacks. That's what I believe. Now, am I right? I don't know. But that's how I foresee that one. All right, let's keep going here. But good aggressive comment. I like that. Let's go to Hawk. I feel good about where we are. 5-3 heading into a Bills game. Worst case scenario, we're 5-4 going into the bye. Yes, please. Hawk, again, I said this on the post-game show yesterday, which, by the way, 2 hours after every game, every Jets game this year, we're live on my YouTube channel. Again, hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Like the video, hit subscribe down below. I said best case scenario, realistically, best case scenario for the New York Jets before the year was 5-4 going into the bye. I said that. I said, if a ball bounces right, the oblong-shaped football, if everything bounces right, I could see the Jets being 5-4. And that's a best case scenario and sets you up really well for the second half of the schedule. Now, a couple of these teams in the second half of the schedule look a little better than we thought. Like Geno Smith and Seahawks are like, whoa, okay, that's a game we thought was probably a pushover and is not. But still, there's Jaguars, trash. Bears, trash. Lions, trash. There's a lot of other trash here that the Jets should have an opportunity against. So again, this Buffalo game is gravy. Everyone thinks you're going to lose, which I think is a perfect scenario for the Jets to pull out the surprise. Because guess what? Robert Saleh has an affinity for pelts on the wall. And it's about to be the winter season. Bengals last year, okay? They went to the Super Bowl. Tennessee Titans, #1 seed in the AFC. Like, you look at a couple of those teams, those pelts are on the back wall, baby, right next to apparently my autographed memorabilia items I've been winning. Thanks again to Jet Situation Report on this. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay. Robert Saleh has a few pelts on the wall, a few winter coats that include the Bengals and the Titans. Those are 2 demons he conquered. They almost had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year late as well. The Buffalo Bills could be another phenomenal pelt on the wall. The Jets have done it before. It's not that crazy. Now, the Bills are great. And again, it would take, perhaps an A+ game on the Jets and maybe a C+ or B- game for the Bills for that game to happen. But it's possible. But you're right, Hawk. 5-4. The playoffs in front of you. If you go 4-5 down the stretch, okay, let's say you lose or whatever happens, right? There's 9 games left. Okay? You're at 5-3. Okay, there's 9 games left. If you go 4-5 the rest of the way, you're going to the playoffs. 9-8 is getting you into the playoffs. I know everyone said, the AFC is going to be tough. Raiders are 2-5. The Broncos are 3-4, and they suck. The Raiders suck. The Broncos suck. All these teams suck. And I told you guys that months ago, that not all the teams we believe are going to be superstars are going to be superstars. And there's going to be few teams that surprise. The Jets at 5-3. Hello. So, to me, I think there's a lot of reason for optimism. The Jet fans that are jumping off the gosh darn hill at 5-3, like, people, you need to take a walk. You need to take your kids out trick-or-treating tonight. Like, you need to just enjoy life a little, okay? You just need to enjoy life. I just don't understand. It's just a little crazy. It's just, I feel like there is just this level of brokenness. I'm just seeing this from Jet Focus, who's saying the same thing. Draft a new quarterback, get pissed, redraft, rinse and repeat. Fan base has been broken for 30 years. So I think we need to try something new and give some guy a level of continuity. I think that would be important. Let's see. And Saunders Clark here. Been a Jet fan for 2 years, and Jet fans have serious issues. Your negativity affects the team. It certainly does. That's why I claim to be the most optimistic Jets fan on the planet. I try to spread my glass half full approach. I try to spread the positivity to the rest of the fan base because it's not prevalent. Let's go to Bangus Garci. Any players that we can trade for that would intrigue you? Thanks, from Cali. Ooh, baby. All right, West Coast. Tubular. Groovy, baby. Let's see. Players that would intrigue me at the trade deadline. Again, I mentioned Jack Conklin. That would be one that I'd be pretty feisty over. He's one that really intrigues me. Again, everyone talked about the Jets being super in on Kareem Hunt. But again, he would have cost probably around a 4th-round pick. The Jets got James Robinson for a 6th, which ultimately will probably be a 5th. So you get that pretty good value there, although Kareem Hunt, I think, is a better player. He's a guy that a lot of people kind of rotate on. Roquan Smith would have been really interesting. Probably a luxury item considering C.J. Mosley and Quincy Williams played really well. And, Quan's been playing well. But, again, Quan is a free agent after this year. Quincy's a free agent after this year. And C.J. Mosley's old as hell. So that would have been one I'd be very intrigued with because Roquan Smith is one of the best players in the NFL that no one gives credit for. He would have been interesting, but he's since been traded to the Baltimore Ravens. Beyond that, not really. I don't want to sound arrogant here and say the Jets don't have any needs because obviously they have needs, but I don't know. I'm pretty satisfied where the team is. Again, and sometimes there's a player that shakes free that you didn't see coming, and that can often happen. But right now, those are the names I'm circling. Probably the biggest name is Jack Conklin. He is one that I'd be very intrigued with on the offensive line. He's only 28 years old, and I know he's had a few injury issues, but again, you need long-term tackle, and we don't know where everyone's going to be a year from now, which I think is important to do this. Let's see. Shane Anderson, do I think Zach Wilson is the future? I do. Now, obviously, I'm not pleased with what I saw yesterday in terms of the turnovers. I don't think anyone should be, but I do believe Zach is the future. I think he's going to get the rest of this year. I know Robert Sauer announced that, spoiler alert, at his press conference. I think Zach Wilson is easily the quarterback the rest of the year. I don't want to see Mike White. I don't want to see Joe Flacco. We need to know if Zach Wilson's the guy, but I think we can also do that while winning football games. I don't think we have to wave the white flag and the Jets are going to be whatever it would be, 5-12. I don't think you have to do that. I think both of those things you can find out together, to be honest. Let's see. Zach is okay. Chill out, people. We're getting a little. Jay, you're an idiot. Josh, you're an idiot. Not a Fields person. Yeah, again, Justin Fields has been terrible. So Mac Jones has been awful. So I don't buy a lot of that stuff on some of the quarterbacks. So I'm all for, again, our quarterback getting challenged and for good reason. But Green Truth, Boy Green, keep wearing that outfit. Yeah, I know people are coming in here and I gave an intro at the beginning, but they keep seeing me in this as I'm having serious conversations. What the hell's going on? Oh yeah, it's Halloween. So yeah, I am getting a lot of that. I'm glad people are enjoying it. So this is the first time I've ever done this. Maybe the last time. I don't know. But I do. That is good. Jet Focus. This fan base doesn't deserve a good quarterback. Keep redrafting for eternity. Again, I don't like the rotten apples in the fan base that can be a little too aggressive, but I hope they get a quarterback and us, because I'm also a Jet fan. So I really do hope they get a quarterback. I believe Zach Wilson is that guy. We will ultimately see if that's the case. Let's keep going. Let's try to get any final comments in here before we sign off for Halloween. Let you guys get to the kids and the handing out the candy and all that. Steve Larson, 5-5 is a good bet next couple of games. That's realistic. 100%. Now, I think there's only, what are we at? 5-3. So there's 8. So there's only 9 games left. But 5-4 is super realistic. I'm not asking for anything crazy here with that. I think 100%. I think 100%. Ooh, I'll talk about this real quick. DPX, Robinson over Hunt. Again, I think, Robinson's younger. That goes well for him. He's only owed less than $600,000 for the rest of the year. That goes well for him. He's an RFA next year, so he's brought back. And long story short, that means he's brought back for cheap next year. That helps you. But Hunt is a former Pro Bowler. He's led the league in rushing. He's a little older, and he's dynamic with catching the football out of the backfield. Again, you could argue Robinson for this situation is better for the Jets long-term because, again, you still have Breece Hall. So what are you doing when Breece Hall comes back? Kareem Hunt would be in the same situation he's in a little different way with Chubb. So that's another one that I would also question. But that's fine. And, again, we'll see. Robinson didn't really get a lot of run, and he barely had a week with the team. So that is something that's not too crazy to talk about. Let's keep going here. Let's see if I could get any final comments here. Fields is cold. Boycott. Why are we okay with 500? Again, I think we need to move beyond mediocrity. But 500 the rest of the way, I'm saying, could be nice to have 9-8. That could get you in the playoffs. Again, everybody, I want to thank you so much for joining us on a Halloween. Again, another special shout out. Let's look at it one more time. The autograph football. Bart Scott, can't wait, baby, for my good buddy NY Jets situation report. Again, if you're on the channel right now and you have not subscribed to his YouTube channel, feel free to do so. He does giveaways every single week. Look at it. There it is, right there. Again, my mic's kind of in the way, so let me move that for you. But look at that. Bart Scott, can't wait. A little photo of Bart Scott right there. You can see that, signing the football. Certificate of authenticity, very nice. And then on top of it, John Riggins, autographed mini helmet. I'm just winning those every week from the Jet Situation Report giveaways. So, guys, make sure you go check it out. Follow him on all social media. Just search out NY Jets Situation Report. So shout out to him. That's beautiful. And guys, we'll be back tomorrow for a post-NFL trade deadline reaction. Did the Jets make any moves? Should they have made any moves? We'll be talking all about it with Jets insider Will Parkinson, host of the TOJ podcast, tomorrow evening. So guys, make sure you bookmark this for that. Again, like the video, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification so you never miss another video. Happy Halloween. Hand out some candies, go crazy, and have a good time. We'll see you back soon. Thanks, everybody, and peace out. Thanks for the show. Appreciate it.